How's it going, everybody? This is Dave Meltzer. We're going to be here for the next 2 hours talking pro wrestling with Brian Alvarez of Figure 4 Weekly. Shelton Benjamin was originally scheduled to be our guest today. They are Ohio Valley. Usually does their TV tapings on Wednesday. It was switched to Thursday this week, so he is going to be unavailable today, and hopefully we'll get him back on. That's twice we're supposed to have him on, but hopefully we'll get him back on. So it'll be just us on the phone calls. Brian, how are you today?
I'm doing good.
That's good. Any big news?
Any news at all?
No, there's no news at all, as a matter of fact. Today's going to be like
when I first started writing the newsletter, however, 6 years ago or whatever, like the first week I thought to myself, are you sure you want to get into this? Because what happens if one of these days the news just stops happening? There's not any wrestling news whatsoever to cover. And after about the second week I realized that would never happen, but today was about as close as it's ever been.
Yeah, there's that's true. I mean, as far as but it's like the calm before the storm because there's gonna be a lot of stuff over the weekend. In fact, there's UFC tomorrow night on the website. We're gonna do round by round coverage of UFC, so it'll be updated like every 5 minutes. And then also late Friday night, which is Saturday in Japan, there's the Fukuoka Dome show, and I looked over that lineup and wow, that's a weak lineup. Let me tell you, the main event's Riki Choshu and Manabu Nakanishi against Naoya Ogawa and Kazunari Murakami, which will probably be a pretty heated match, but and some of the undercard matches will probably be solid wrestling matches, but it's God, when you got a 2-hour primetime special, they just didn't pull anything off on this one at all. Especially domes are hard to fill anyway, and they didn't put very many intriguing matches. Also,
they did bring in Rainy Martinez.
I know, they never switched that match. It's like Yuji Nagata beats Nakanishi to become the number one contender for their world's title, and then they bring in Rainy Martinez, who no one knows, who's not even a big name. It's like if you want to put him against a shoot fighter, that's cool, but it's got to be like a name. I mean, it's a no-name. I mean, it's less than a no-name. And then use that as isn't that like third from the top? It is third from the top. Unbelievable. So anyway, God, I hope he doesn't win like Otani did that job on that pay-per-view.
Would you really be surprised?
Yes, I'd be stunned. Absolutely shocked. If he loses, if Nagata loses, I will be absolutely stunned, and I will say that they have no clue how to book. But they may have no clue how to book even if he wins. I don't know. Their last couple of months has not been the greatest booking that I've ever seen out of those people. And I've seen some years where they've been phenomenal at booking, so I don't know what happened. And, of course, Saturday's also Insurrection, and we're going to have match by match. It's WWF pay-per-view. And have you heard anything as far as the Kane situation, if he's going to work on Sunday or not?
Nothing.
Or Saturday, I mean. I haven't heard either. I don't know. I should actually ask about that. Maybe we can find out. Rock's on MTV tonight, which we've already talked about yesterday. And what other stuff do I got? There's a K1 show in Vegas on Saturday, which if you have Bellevue Cable, or you live in Canada, you can get. In Canada, you get on a tape delay on May 18th. United States, even if you have a dish, I don't think you can get it. I haven't seen. If I'm wrong, someone let me know. And that is like anything else? Anything else you want to talk about?
That's it.
All right, here's the poll.
How about that for a news segment?
I know. Well, we got SmackDown tomorrow. Of course, SmackDown tonight with Undertaker and Rikishi. We can talk about the return of Rikishi and all the other stuff.
It's big news.
As far as reading the show on paper, it seemed like a lot more interesting show than Raw. So hopefully it'll be better than Raw. This is, what are your thoughts about a relaunched WCW? And this was all across the board on this one. It will be a big success and be kept separate for a long time, 12%. It will have some success, and then they'll blend it in 6 months to a year, 26%. By the way, we did the same one a couple weeks ago, and people are far more pessimistic about this relaunch. I mean, the difference is unbelievable compared to whatever it was like the last time we did the same almost similar question. Not exact question. The third one is, it will have little impact, and they'll basically quickly do the angle. They'll kind of rush into the angle because the show won't work. Or the show will work a little bit, 17%. 28%, which is actually the largest of all, said that the show will not get over. The show will have no impact. Then they'll do the angle, and the angle won't work either. And then 16% say it will have no impact, and they won't even try the angle. So
we should keep doing this poll like every 4 weeks or so, like right after the first show, and then 4 weeks after the first show.
We will do it again right after the first show, which right now looks to be taped on June 13th and with an air date of June 16th. It's not official, but pretty darn close to it. Today's poll, in honor of having a former collegiate wrestler on, what former NCAA champion made the best pro wrestler? And the 5 picks are A. Danny Hodge, B. Leroy McGurk, C. Vern Gagne, D. Jack Briscoe, and E. Kurt Angle.
I can already give you the results of the poll based on previous polls.
I know.
Asking about individuals before 1997.
That's right. Historical questions do not work well in this poll, but anyway, that's the deal there. They're doing on June 15th. Speaking of history, they're doing a Hall of Fame induction in Newton, Iowa. They've got a museum out there, which people who've been there have told me I really need to go. Even though the curator of the museum doesn't like me. Which
Who is it?
Mike Chapman. I'll tell you the story. Okay, Mike Chapman. He wrote a book on Frank Gotch, and Frank Gotch is his hero. And to allude to the idea that Frank Gotch may have ever done a worked match, or that George Hackenschmidt may actually have been injured going into that match, and it was just not an excuse. It's like anything like that, or to allude that like some of those matches, like in the 20s, were actually worked. He just doesn't want to hear it, so he takes it personal, unfortunately. One person who's a friend of mine went there and like started talking to him, and Mike Chapman didn't even know what was it say? He didn't even know that the person knew me, and was at the museum and having a good time. And he said that the guy just went off because the guy just went off on you like out of nowhere because your name didn't even come up, and it was just like talking about the 20s and everything. So hold on to those things. But anyway,
let's get him on the show.
What, we're going to do a show on 1920s wrestling? That'll get over big. No, it won't. Well, we're going to debate if Gotch and what happened in the Gotch Hackenschmidt match. Everybody's dead. We don't know. No one knows. I mean, even Fez, Fez is probably the best authority on that. And Fez, was not even alive when that match took place, and he was just taking the word of like older wrestlers that told him, and God knows,
what does that word mean?
Yeah, God knows how accurate those stories are. And then the other thing we got is we can go look at the old news. I've read all the old newspaper stories on it, and God knows what a 1911 newspaper story when it covers pro wrestling, how accurate that must have been. I know,
especially when you think look at all the sources of information that are available today, and newspapers still can't get stories about wrestling right. Think about, the 1900s, where, how did they get information in the first place? Word of mouth?
Yeah.
Telegrams?
I don't know. So
Carrier
anyway.
pigeon?
I was actually, yeah. Anyway, but at that museum, they're inducting 4 men into their Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, which is Tim Mr. Wrestling Woods, Jack Briscoe, William Muldoon, and Farmer Burns, which is basically their Hall of Fame. And it's
He won't be there in person to be inducted?
What? William Muldoon will not be. Who?
Never mind.
William Muldoon will not be there in person, no. Nor will Farmer Burns. I think that someone's going to, and I think someone may be accepting it for Farmer Burns. But Luthez basically picks them, and he picks them basically on guys who were good pro wrestlers that also were good real wrestlers. You have to be both. Like Ric Flair isn't going to be in this Hall of Fame, and neither's Hogan. But so that's the deal there. And they're also going to award Red Bastien, who we had on the show last week, is going to award Nick Ackerman, who's a Division III wrestler that we talked about, who had his legs amputated as a child and then came back and just won the Division III Nationals. He's going to be getting an award from the Cauliflower Alley Club. So it's kind of a mix of pro and amateur wrestling there, which is certainly not like our pro wrestling anymore. Although I guess I don't know. I don't got nothing else. I'm going to start with emails. How's that?
Sounds good.
Start early. Mike in Wisconsin. No condition to work is a description I keep hearing in reference to Shawn Michaels and Road Dogg. What do you mean by you say that? Drunk or stoned? It means we don't know. Which one?
Why we say that?
Because we're not there and we haven't seen it, but we just know they were no condition to work. But it often means, it may mean too tired, although it almost never does. It may mean drunk. It may mean stoned. It may mean pilled out of their heads. It may mean all of the above. Or whatever it is, it means that they can't work. That they're afraid to put them out there on television because they'll make fools of themselves and make fools of the companies.
They can't work to their ability.
Well, no. I wouldn't say that.
Otherwise, Billy Gunn would be listed as no condition to perform every day.
That's right. It's more than that. It's way can't perform. It's like they can't perform to the point where they're dangerous in the ring or they're going to embarrass the company. Not by having a bad match, because people have bad matches all the time, but by having more than a bad match. So anyway, that's what it means. Let's see. WF has posted another one of his Don't Tell Us How to Do Our Booking commentaries on the website. Did you see that, by the way?
The new one? I haven't seen the new one yet.
I got it here. It's really sad. That's all I can say.
Is it worse than last week's?
Yes, in a sense, because it's like it was. No, it is because it was written by. It's written like this guy wrote it, but it might as well have been written by Hunter. And I'm reading this, and it's just like, Hunter did jobs for the Brooklyn Brawler and Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit. He's listing all these guys that he lost. And it's like, we never said, no one ever says he doesn't do jobs. It's like how he does them. It's like Kevin Nash did a job for Rey Mysterio Jr., but did he ever put him over? Scott Hall was the master. Remember when he did that job for Hector Garza? I mean, that was a beauty. Look
at Hogan, Kidman, Vampiro. Remember Hogan did a job for Vampiro?
Oh, what?
That sure shot Vampiro to the upper echelon there.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's like, what can I say? Let's see. This is from Jason, who says if the WF sends Test over to WCW, they should have Test beat Austin, like Jericho beat Triple H, to win the title, and then have Vince screw him out of the title, and then he decides to go to WCW to get a fair chance. That would make Test look like a real WF champion, put more heel heat on Austin.
They can't do that Survivor Series thing again. It's been done to death.
That's not even a Survivor Series thing, but like, but I don't think
it'll be the same basic deal. The guy gets screwed out of the title, so he leaves, even though Brett was going to leave, anyway.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it's like do you think Test's really going to beat Austin on TV?
Well, no, but.
Okay. Well. This is from Matt, who says, considering the WF has Undertaker versus Austin planned for Judgment Day, I think they should add a gimmick so people get interested in the match. The gimmick would make the most sense would be that if Undertaker loses, he retires. That's exactly what we don't need. It's another stipulation that won't be adhered to. Because he's 39, he's over the hill. Besides, it will be a year at Judgment Day since the American Badass gimmick started, and if he should go, the other stipulation of the match should be if Austin loses, he can never again get a shot at the WF title or something like that. If they added something like that, I think people would be interested and get a good buy rate. They may get a bigger buy rate with those stipulations, but then by not adhering to those stipulations, they're just cutting their own throats in the long run the next time they do a stipulation match.
Haven't they done that stipulation once with Austin?
What, that he never gets a title shot?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
It sounds vaguely familiar. I know they did it with Jarrett once, and of course that was not adhered to, but I seem to remember they did it with Austin. Maybe they didn't.
Yeah. Wasn't Jarrett in WCW when he did the stipulation? Yeah. Yeah, because that was the Russo era, yeah, where stipulations didn't matter. And they wonder why the stipulations, when they did stipulation matches, they didn't draw. This is from Badger, who says, when a wrestler says I'm on the road 280 days a year, does that mean 280 travel days? Generally speaking, yes. Let's see. On SmackDown tonight, when they put Austin in the ambulance and Undertaker's in the driver's seat, does he look back and say, where to, Austin? I don't know if he does. That would be funny, though, yes. Let's see. Why is it that when someone like Rick Steiner bullies someone in the ring, like the match with Conan, he's criticized as being unprofessional, but in Johnny Valentine's working overly stiff, is celebrated in the accounts of his career published since his death? I don't know if it's celebrated. That's just what he was.
That's totally different, too.
And it is, and as I was going to say, it's absolutely 100% different, too. Well, why don't you explain the difference?
Well, if Rick Steiner's going to have a match with Conan, and they have this plan of what they're going to do in the ring, and Rick Steiner just goes in there and doesn't abide by the plan and just pummels the guy, that's totally different than working with someone and laying everything in a little bit.
Exactly. And also, I mean,
if Ric Flair chopped Vince Russo really hard, how can you compare that to Rick Steiner taking Conan down and just pummeling him?
And knocking him out twice in the same match.
Yeah. It's absolutely no comparison.
Yeah. And also there's when it comes to Valentine, Valentine was a very successful main event wrestler, which Rick Steiner never was. And Valentine, but Valentine, and I'm not celebrating. I don't think anyone should celebrate the fact that Johnny Valentine, beat up guys on television. I mean, I remember, like the stories about it and hearing about him and Mulligan when guys would break in the Carolinas. I mean, they would beat them to death because of the, that mentality back then is if they can't take it, they don't belong in the business anyway. But there's even a difference between that and what Rick Steiner did with Conan. That had, that was just, I still to this day don't really know what it was. I'm just assuming that somebody backstage was mad at Conan. It was like next to the last show of the company. And it was kind of like, well, we can do it and there's going to be no repercussions. So just kind of do our dirty work for us. Conan obviously gave someone trouble And that aspect, that was part of the business in the 50s and 60s too, but it's not the same thing. In a way,
I kind of wish that Vince had not bought WCW the day that he did, and that last Nitro really would have been the last Nitro, just to see what would have happened, what these guys are really like. Because I think it would have been a hell of a show.
Yeah. What are some good newer Japanese wrestling tapes to get from 2000 or 2001? I'd say New Japan TV from October through December was really good. Even through January 4th. That was really good. Best show, I would say, was the December 18th New Japan pay-per-view. That was an excellent show. November, there was a November, I forget the date. There was a November women's television show that was excellent. All Japan Women with a cage match. Really awesome cage match, 6-man tag. And, all the Tori Human stuff is always good. A lot of the, Noah, anything big? Nothing on Noah. It's been that great. The Sawataki Yama match was actually a lot better than I expected, but a lot of the Noah has been kind of disappointing as well. Let's see. The ratings for the XFL were better than hockey has been getting. Are they really? It seems like everyone expects the success of the NFL the first season out of the gate, when even the NFL wasn't doing all that great when it started. I don't know why people even write that. You know who projected the...
While these people are at it, why don't you start complaining about why the media doesn't bash Livewire for getting an 0.9? If you're going to do these stupid comparisons. What the hell does hockey have to do with XFL that aired on NBC Prime Time?
Yeah. And also, there's a couple of things. First of all, the projected ratings that we compare this to are the ratings that the XFL promised advertisers and went in the media before the season and said, this is what we predict we will get. Okay? So they only have to blame themselves, not the media. Okay? They were the ones who predicted those ratings. It was not us. Remember when those ratings first came out and we said, God, these ratings are projected, they're projecting these ratings way too high? Mm-hmm. So we would have projected them lower. So we were closer than they were, and they paid the price for that. Second, when it comes to hockey, first of all, hockey does not do well on television overall, but hockey's ratings in the afternoon were much higher than the XFL's ratings in the afternoon. They were not higher than the XFL's in prime time, but if hockey had been put in prime time, their ratings, and they may not have been larger than the XFL's. The bottom line is the reason hockey's not in prime time is because if it was put in prime time, it would be a prime time flop. They know and they didn't do it. XFL was a prime time flop. Women's soccer, which, by the way, will do much worse ratings than the XFL, if it was put like in network prime time, God, would it be a flop? Okay? So it was a flop. Anyway, so it was
but
basically...
Both those shows are not in NBC prime time.
No, they're not.
As far as the media goes, you know what? If you really like the XFL and you really wanted to watch it every week, and the media bashing the league caused you to no longer watch a show, then you're pathetic.
That's right, because if that was the case, you couldn't watch wrestling, because God knows it gets its fair share of criticism.
Yep.
Let's see. Do you think Triple H is on steroids?
Come on now.
Okay.
Serious questions here.
I know. Let's see. Do you know what happened to New Jack? He's working for XPW. Who do you think will be the next commentator for WCW? They haven't made a decision. Let's see. Basically they're considering Scott Hudson, Mike Tenay, Mark Madden.
Stevie Ray.
No, they're not considering Stevie Ray. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else that's really seriously being considered. Madden, I don't know how seriously Madden's really being considered. I don't know. I mean, there may be some other people that we don't know about. I mean, I know there's people, there's people in the company who probably want Lawler in, but I don't think that's really going to happen. Let's see.
That sure would kickstart that new show, though.
What, Lawler? Oh, it'd be great.
Yeah.
It'd be great to do. It'd be great to do. What was the WrestleMania 7 buy rate? At the last word, it looked like it was a 2.15 buy rate, which translates to about 900,000 buys, which is more total buys than any pay-per-view for pro wrestling in history. Because the old record was 825 or 824, whatever it was the year before. Since Vince McMahon bought the WCW tape library and Jim Crockett Jr. bought out Bill Watts' Mid-South Wrestling, does Vince have the rights to Mid-South tapes? No, he does not, because Jim Crockett never bought Bill Watts' tape library. He only bought the rings and the contracts with the wrestlers, and the television contracts. He didn't buy the tape contracts because he didn't think the tapes would be worth anything. So Bill Watts owns... actually, you know who owns the Mid-South tapes? Some of them are owned by Bill Watts, and some of them are owned by Bill Watts' ex-wife in one of his divorce settlements, believe it or not. So he doesn't own all the tapes. She owns some of them, I believe is what. And who has the rights to the Florida tape? That's a tricky one, but I think it's probably like Mike Graham. I think Steve Kern owns some of them. Those are probably the two people. So there's a lot of good stuff in those old Florida tapes. And this email is the epitome of the fact that there is no news going on. I got to read you this. Do you think that Val Venus and Perry Saturn would make a good tag team, seeing how both of their names end with a planet? This is from Ben Smith, who goes, "What is the lowest rating SmackDown ever received?" Do you remember offhand? I think it was over right after Thanksgiving or in the holidays. Remember they had one show that just did it wasn't Thanksgiving, but it was over the Christmas holidays. They had one show.
Wasn't
that
like a 3-4?
I think it was lower than that.
Really? I don't think that. Well, maybe it was.
Yeah, because they're going like, with the declining WF product and the Survivor finale, tonight could be a record low. Tonight, I mean, I expect a low rating, and I think that, if they get like a 3-4 or a 3-5, I wouldn't even give it a lot of thought because of the Survivor final getting so much publicity. But, I don't know. I just remember one of those holiday numbers was unusually low. But I don't remember what it is. Who's the better worker, Matt or Jeff Hardy? Jeff is far more spectacular. I think Matt's a little bit better of a worker. Yeah. What are the chances of the Impact players, Lance Storm and Just Incredible, reuniting as a tag team in WWF? 0% right now. If someone huge financially was to help Paul Heyman, could ECW be brought back? No. If you were able to, would you bring in John Cronus to the WWF to be with Perry Saturn? No. Do you know much about Randy Orton? He's Bob's son, and, I think that he's only 20 years old. Every time I watch him on tape, he improves from the week before. He's got a ways to go.
3.32.
That's the all-time low?
November 23rd, 2000.
Okay, what about, that's the lowest one? That's the
lowest one I've got here, and this is through, end of February.
Okay, well, I'm sure that's the record. Okay, so 3.32. I think they'll be in that ballpark tonight. They may be we'll find out. I don't know. I think they could threaten it. Why is WWF letting him use the name Orton? Why wouldn't they? That's his name. I don't know. What new guys would you like to see in the new WCW? Let's see. I'd like to see Rico Constantino in there. I'd like to see Kawada in there, but that's not going to happen. But guys that really could happen.
Kawada. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, I know. No, but I'd like to see Rico Constantino get a shot there, Flash Flanagan get a shot there. As far as I would like to see Rock in there, because I think that it needs to be there. I think because that's the one. I mean, to me, if I'm starting something new, I give it every chance it can get to make it, and that's the best shot. Don't you think? I mean, we've talked about it before.
I don't think there's going to be a failure or anything without Rock, but I think in order to make it a success, you absolutely have to have the guy. And not just because he's such a big star, but because he'll put over people. And that's going to be the important thing. It doesn't matter if you have Austin in there or Triple H or anybody. If they're not going to put anybody over, it's going to make it look like the minor leagues with these guys on top.
Yeah. Also, I think you want a guy that you can't get on those other shows, because there's got to be a specific. I mean, look at the heat rating and the declining heat rating. It tells you right now that people are not ready to watch another hour of WWF or of WWF wrestling right now, unless it's something totally
a B show.
If it's a B show, exactly. It's from Robert Johnson says, any chance of Scott Hall meeting with Jim Ross when he goes to Florida? I would be very, very doubtful of that one. That one would be really. You never say never, but
maybe say hi to him.
Yeah, but once you start doing that, then you really, you know what I mean? It's like getting that whole group together. You're asking for trouble then. Do you think that by Jerry Lynn having the light heavyweight title will force Vince to have a halfway decent light heavyweight division? Oh, it won't force Vince to do anything. If he wants to, he can do it. It's Jerry Lynn has nothing to do with it. It has to do with the writing. People, the people who are writing. I think that Paul Heyman probably has something to do with it, and I think that the division will get a little bit more play, but ultimately, just like every time the division gets a false start, I think that this will be another false start.
Do you think getting Nash and Hall and those guys together again would really be that bad? I mean, look what happened to Michaels. He screwed up one day, he's gone.
Oh, yeah. But the thing with Nash is Nash wouldn't screw up, it'd be a totally different thing. It'd be that counterproductive stuff. It's like Hogan. Hogan's not going to come in drunk or stoned or anything like that. But do you think bringing Hogan in is a good idea?
No.
I mean, I could see bringing him in for one pay-per-view and saying, okay, this is a one pay-per-view deal. You're going to work in the middle. You're going to beat some comedy guy or Vince McMahon or something like that. And then we never see you again. And that's fine. And I would do it in a heartbeat for that if he doesn't ask for too much money. But wanting him in that dressing room 4 nights a week? No way. No way. It's from Ralph, who says, seeing the Dudleys years ago in ECW, do you think they would beat this over in WWF? Nope. They were a big surprise to me. Very pleasant surprise. If I would have thought anyone would have been over, it would have been Taz. Well, not me and Brian. I can tell you that. 'Cause, we pretty much...
I certainly didn't give the Dudleys, almost any hope. I thought, this is going to be a total failure. You know what? I saw them as, Public Enemy. A new Public Enemy.
So did I.
And they sure took the ball and ran with it.
Yeah, they did a good job. Well, some of it was the tables, but you know what? They really were, they're talented guys.
Yeah.
Which Public Enemy really wasn't, If Vince decides to get smart and move some mid-card guys like Benoit and Jericho into the main events, you see guys like Dean Malenko, Perry Saturn, Eddie Guerrero, and Test in the upper mid-card level and getting more exposure. I just don't see Dean Malenko ever being, and I never did, a big star in WWF, just the size and the blandness, even with the different gimmicks that they've tried to give him, like the Ladies' Man and the James Bond. Perry Saturn, I don't see it. Eddie Guerrero.
Well, what does he mean by exposure? How many times he's on TV?
I guess.
I don't really think that the upper mid-card guys are on TV any more than any other guys except for the main eventers.
Yeah.
It's like the main eventers get all the TV time and everybody else splits it, no matter where you are on the card.
No, and then there's the guys who are ignored. Or the guys that are
those guys.
Or you guys like Blackman or Perry Saturn that are kind of like, Heat guys.
Yeah.
The guys that are on the Sunday TV. I could see Test. I expect Test is going to be a big star there someday. And Eddie Guerrero, if it wasn't for the size, Eddie Guerrero, absolutely. Because he's, I don't know that he would ever be much more than that he's already been. Let's see. Shouldn't WCW be delayed even longer if they aren't going to have the top guys for the kickoff? If it sucks in the beginning, casual fans aren't going to tune back in. It needs to be strong from day one, especially in that U.S. time slot. That means main eventers, whatever. Whenever WCW got a new regime, curiosity increased ratings at the beginning, and it never lasted. WWF can't make the same mistake. I agree. They got to have...
You know what? It's almost a game, though, because if they hold off waiting for them to get these, or for waiting for Time Warner to release these guys, Time Warner's just going to play the game with them and, offer lower buyouts or whatever. And, if they give a start date and they go, we're starting this date whether we have these guys or not, that almost sends a message to Time Warner like, great, keep paying these guys. We don't need them.
Yeah. Well, let's see. What would have to happen for the WWF to radically change current bookings? What ratings number or buy rate is so low? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. And Elias, I think...
Below a 1 buy rate?
I don't know if they can do below a 1 right now. A 1 is 420,000 buys.
Well, we're going to find out after this last show.
If they did below a 1 at this show, I would... Because they haven't done below a 1 in a long, long time. I think the last one below a 1 would have been... well, actually, I take that back. So Survivor Series was below a 1. The Hunter Austin match. So,
yeah.
Was that Survivor Series? No, because Armageddon was the big surprise. Armageddon did real well. What was the reason behind Hogan doing a job to the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 6? Did he ever refuse to do a job for the Warrior? Well, they never did a rematch, so... But, they never were supposed to do it. No, but they never were supposed to do a rematch. Because it just never got there. Hogan... Didn't Hogan do a movie? He was taking a bunch of months off, and that's all it was? I think he was doing, God, what movie was he doing then? It wasn't No Holds Barred, because that was, 89 or 80. That was a couple years earlier.
Suburban Commando?
One of those horrible movies. Yeah, Hogan was doing a movie, and he was going to be off for a couple months, and they decided they were going to try to really, make Warrior the guy, and they were going to go all the way with Warrior, and Hogan put him over the right way, and then Warrior didn't carry the ball. I guess Warrior didn't draw, and so they got the thing off Warrior and put it on, the mix to get it back on, to get it to Slaughter, to get it to Hogan, for the next year. Also, what are Nova's chances of making it to the WWF now? He's in better shape, and his girlfriend works for the WWF. Who's Nova's girlfriend? I'm missing something.
I have no idea.
Okay, well, as far as Nova, Jim Ross was at that UPW show that we were at last Wednesday, and Nova had a real good match. So,
and Ross put it over in the Ross report.
Yeah, so good. What can you say? Okay, let's go over, since there's no news and no guests. Let's go over what happened in Montreal. No, that's a joke. If Undertaker was sick enough to burn you alive and kill your parents, wouldn't you want him on your side too? Who said that? Was awesome.
Hey, that's a good point.
That's a good one. Let's see. Let's see. I have a friend studying abroad in Japan right now. I wanted to pick up some tapes. I can only get like one or two. What should I tell him to look for? Depends on what you want. If you want something new or you want something old, or I can't tell you what your taste is. Let's see. What is Paul Heyman's role in writing television? Does he work for Stephanie McMahon? They all work together. I mean, I guess Stephanie's the head, but, yeah, he's there. What's the reason behind China no longer wrestling men? Is it because the guys refuse to work wrestling matches with her? I think it's more of a company decision that it never really looked right, and I just think people were...
It would look even less right now because she lost all that muscle mass.
Yeah, but, I mean... It was kind of a gimmick that ran its course that I don't even know how good it ever really was. Although Jarrett, I'll give Jarrett credit. Jarrett and China did a good program. I mean, Jericho and China, I thought that was just a total waste of Jericho. But Jarrett and China, Jarrett somehow in that one match did make it work. And then they just tried to, recreate that thing over and over, and it never really made it. And I think, the feeling is that, I don't know. I just don't... I know that they think that China and Lita is a money program, and maybe they're right, and time will tell. But there's something about I just can't get into a China feud, and I know that mic work sure didn't help those two. That's for sure.
China was so freaky for a while that if she'd been a good worker, it may have been okay. But part of it was just she was so horrible that everything she did looked so phony unless she was just killing somebody with forearms that it was totally impossible to believe.
Okay, this says that the week of the Super Bowl. Heat did a 1.12, which means that the all-time low would have been Sunday because it was a 1.08. And he goes, and that was with MTV airing ads throughout the show telling people to flip to the MTV, to CBS for MTV's halftime coverage. So, let's see. Why does Bill Goldberg hate Jericho? As far as I know, he doesn't. He just didn't want to work a program with him. Yeah, he just didn't want to work a program with him because people talked him into the idea that Jericho was too small for him to work a believable program with. So, those people got in his ear, he listened, and that's what he said. And, see, was Vince Sr. still in charge of the company when Bob Backlund lost the title to the Iron Sheik? No, Vince Jr. was in charge of the company at that time. I've heard you mention a lot lately about crowds coming across differently on television as opposed to live. Do you feel the WF has strayed from reading email feedback like in the Russo days and just listens to the live crowd? I pop like mad when I'm there live, but it doesn't exactly mean I care about that wrestler. Yet, crowd pops are really weird. Because sometimes if you got a good entrance music or bad entrance music, you'll pop, but that has nothing to do with the wrestler's drawing power or position on, ability to be effective in a position on a card. Sometimes people will pop for someone because they have a cool entrance. Like Jimmy Valiant is always the one we used to talk about when I was a kid. In the Carolinas, Jimmy Valiant would come out there, and he would get a bigger pop than Ricky Steamboat, and sometimes as big as Ric Flair. But that didn't mean that Jimmy Valiant was more over. It just meant that Jimmy Valiant had a really cool ring entrance, and Ricky Steamboat had a very normal ring entrance. But, if you would reverse the positions and put Jimmy Valiant in this position Rick Steamboat was in, he would not have been more effective as a draw in that position. No way.
No, someone would just email me yesterday or a couple days ago talking about conditioning and what they read in psychology, and they're talking about how a wrestling promoter can condition fans into thinking that anybody's a superstar. And, the whole thing is, you can condition fans to cheer for someone's entrance, and you can condition them to cheer for, like, a finishing hold or something like that, but you cannot condition people to buy tickets against their will. And that's the whole thing with, the big pops. Great, Sid comes out, he's a big scary guy, everyone pops for him, but it doesn't mean they're going to pay to see him.
Yep. Do you know why Honky Tonk Man refused to drop the Intercontinental title to Savage? We've had him on the show, and he basically he felt that they didn't care about him on that given night, and since they were all talking about what they're going to do with everyone else and not paying attention to him, he was just going to say, I'm not going to do it. So that was what happened there. Is the Kane broken arm injury a work or is it real? It's a work. Why does Kurt Angle have 2 medals? Didn't he just win 1? Actually, Kurt Angle won he only won 1 Olympic gold medal, but he won lots and lots of medals during his career.
Yeah.
I think that Chris Benoit should melt Angle's medal and make it into a gold tooth. That would be awesome.
That would be good.
It really would.
I think that's the secret to being a world-class worker is to be missing teeth.
Well, when you wrestle that style, sooner or later it's going to happen. When you wrestle that tough. Is it just me, or is Stephanie's facial expressions and acting when someone else is talking to her the most annoying thing on television? No. Watching China wrestle.
Watching China talk.
Yeah. Let's see. We all know God, so much negative on WWF. We all know that WWF's product is stale and no one will be elevated until something drastic happens, i.e. a drop in buy rate.
Hey, I thought we worked for the WWF. We shouldn't be talking about these emails.
I know. How much influence does Paul Heyman have? He's got influence. Don't kid yourself. Can he help in elevating more guys while the top guys just shoot everything down to keep their spots? I'm not at the meetings. I don't know. I mean, I know that Paul Heyman really likes Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit. So, because it's funny how a lot
and
of
they've had the best stuff on the shows lately.
Yeah, but they're not getting elevated, even though there's attempts to. But they're really not. I don't think that they're. I think Kurt Angle's less over than he was a couple months ago.
I don't know.
You don't think so? The same?
I mean, he had the belt and all, but we talked when he had the title about what a waste it was to put this belt on this guy that was fourth from the top.
Yeah, but now
he's always treated like a goof.
Okay,
he never win a match.
Okay,
I remember one time he beat Chris Jericho clean, and I almost had a heart attack.
Okay, there was a period right after he lost the title where they really portrayed him strong. Remember when he was putting Rock in the ankle lock and things like that? That few weeks afterwards, to me, that was the peak of Kurt Angle. But like now, even though like him and Benoit have a real serious feud, they come out there and that thing with, that thing chasing the medal and everything just made him look like a mid-card comedy guy to me.
Yeah.
Like he could have been chasing the medal a lot in a different manner, and I think it would have come along. It would have looked like semi-main event instead of looking like mid-card. And to me, the way he was doing that in that comedic way was a little mid-cardish.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Brian, did you know that they played No Holds Barred on TBS last night?
Oh, the movie? No, I didn't know.
Yeah, I was flipping around.
In the Thunder Time slot?
Yeah, in the Thunder Time slot.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it probably beat that show.
I bet, no way. I'll bet money it didn't beat the Thunder rating. But does anyone know the rating? That's a real good question. I didn't thought it, because I was flipping around last night, and then all of a sudden, it's like.
There's Hogan on TBS.
Yeah, it's on TBS. Well, it was, I saw, what was the guy's name? Tiny Lister. And I go, oh my God, it's No Holds Barred the movie. And I lasted about 30 seconds. Anyway, this is from Scott. He lasted longer than me. He goes, for reasons that I myself cannot fully explain, I found myself actually watching No Holds Barred on CBS last night. God almighty, I had forgotten how awful this movie is. It makes Ready to Rumble look like Wrestling with Shadows. Yeah, actually it did, and Ready to Rumble was horrible. Anyway, for some reason, I felt compelled to watch the closing credits. Two names struck out. First, the horrendous No Holds Barred theme song was written by Jim Johnston. Boy, did he come a long way, or what?
Wow.
Yeah. And the thing
that thing's been around forever, you know that?
Yeah. But he's just in the last, year and a half, he's finally gotten credit, right?
Yeah, you just hear about him like 2 years ago, and it's like, wow, this new guy came in and made all these great songs. Then you realize he was around for all the horrible songs, too.
Yeah. But the thing that totally blew my mind was the credit. One of the credits for camera operator was Craig Leathers. Do you know if this is the same Craig Leathers who presided as dictator over WCW production? I believe, I'm almost sure it's the same guy, yes. How did the recent buy rates for Pride compare to the recent buy rates for UFC? UFC is higher than Pride, but I don't know the numbers. None of the numbers are. The number of buys is not that high because the exposure is so limited. Most people can't get it. The buy rates themselves are. I know the Pride buy rate. The very first Pride pay-per-view did like about a 0.23 or something like that. And I don't even know what UFCs have been doing. It's nothing to brag about. I know that. So. Okay, we'll talk about this. The angle with the Austin Undertaker First Blood match was when if Austin lost, he would never get another title shot, and if Austin won, Vince would leave. And then remember, didn't Vince leave? And
then Vince left, and then he just came back.
Right. There's someone who goes, I don't care what anyone says, I think that Bischoff, Nash, and Hogan are doing a great job booking the WWF right now. Anyway, let's see.
I heard WWF and WCW were working together for a long time.
Oh, God. If the WWF's downward spiral continued and they were to fold, please, let's not get so far ahead of ourselves, although reading those roller derby stories the other day, that was pretty scary there. What would the post-WWF North American wrestling landscape look like? You can't predict it because it all depends on television. if somebody can get television and there's no WWF and they got national TV and they were the only ones with national TV and they had money to have the big stars, they would own the whole country.
WWF would never really fold. They would just downsize, tremendously.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Let's see. Many weeks ago, you discussed the prospect of the WCW program being on MTV replacing Heat. Since then, the Heat's ratings have plummeted despite adding a replay of the show. Thus, with 2 hours of airtime available, why does the WF not request they simply combine 2 one-hour blocks? I mean, I don't know what the political situation of this is, but that would be far better than 11 to 1 on Saturday would be, a 2-hour block, say 6 to 8 on Sunday. I mean, 6 to 8 on Sunday is that's their best bet, I think.
Yeah, when he was like an 8 show, for only an hour, it was doing in the 4s, right?
High 3s, I think it top 4, on their bet a couple of weeks, yeah. Yeah, but it was consistently doing over 3 5s, yeah. Did Vince buy WCW's interest in the NASCAR cars? I don't know. Let's see. Do you know if Kid Cash could be brought to the new WCW? Jason Broyles needs an awesome rival to get over. I'm just wondering if Kid Cash would be brought in. I haven't heard that name discussed. He should be brought in. I would think that, there should be a real good shot at it because he's a good worker and but the thing with them is that they got a lot of good small workers under contract. That's not what they're probably looking for big guys, as opposed to small guys, but, they
got 24 medium-sized guys right now. Actually, I shouldn't even say that because some of them are pretty damn big.
Only Hugh Morrison.
Thrillers, Stasiak.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're just not that good. Did Bruiser Brody ever wrestle Vader in AWA? Bruiser Brody wrestled Leon White before he was Vader. I think maybe only once, and I think they never actually locked up. It was, I think it was one of the last shows that he did in the AWA. He just got it in his head, and Bruiser Brody got this stuff in his head that he was going to run around the building, and I think they never even got in the ring. And I just remember the story that Leon White, who'd been in the business for like a couple of months, when the match was over, goes, I don't know what you just did, but I kind of like it. Anyway, did Stan Hansen consider a jump to the WF in 1989 after the no-holds-barred debacle and his dome match with Hogan? I think that Stan Hansen, by 1989, had already decided that he was never going to leave All Japan because he was making so much money there. And, he worked WCW, but it was between his Japanese schedule, and WWF would have never put up with that. So I think that that's what nixed it. They would have brought him in. He was a big star in the WWF the 2 times he was there before. It was just, he became so big in Japan that he never wanted to give that up because I think he knew that he'd have Japan forever, and he still has it today, even, and he had it till he was 50. So he made the right move, I think. Whatever happened to Venom Black? He was the most spectacular luchador in the late 90s. He's still wrestling in Tijuana. Had some drug problems, so I think that's what probably impeded his progress. And do you think Mark Madden is on steroids? No, I do not. Let's go to Wes. Wes, what's going on?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. It's going really good.
Not to continue with the WWF, shooting bullets at them, but looking at the Sunday, how they're doing the split shows and looking at the attendance the last couple of weeks in the Observer, wouldn't it be better, do you think, it's getting to a point where they'd be better off starting to run one show again? Because
you're very smart because they've already done that. Because I've looked at the schedule for the next couple of months, and there's only one Sunday, which is 2 shows in Virginia on June 10th, I think, are the date, but I could be wrong.
Yeah,
but there's only one. That's the only split shows that I see over the next couple of months on the schedule. So they're getting away from that.
Okay.
And so you see the same thing they saw.
Well, also looking at the New Japan and this the junior tournament coming up, obviously, nothing's going to top what was going on in '94, '95. It looks like a pretty weak field. What were your thoughts on that, and any thoughts on who the winner might be?
I got the thing. When I looked at it, it just didn't do anything for me, so I haven't given it a great amount of thought. I would think that they should have somebody beat Minoru Tanaka in the finals to create a challenger for Minoru Tanaka. But as far as whether that would be Liger, that's been done before. I don't know.
How come they don't bring any of the Toryumon guys in? Are they too? Dragon Kid might be even too small for them.
He's real small. He'd be real small. There's no real reason other than they just don't reach out and do it. They had, Shima work with Liger. Although that was actually Michinoku that promoted that match, though. I don't know the answer. How politically things are. It would be if they had gotten Shima and like Sua in there. I think it would have been a more interesting tournament.
Yeah. Also, did the situation in Mexico with TV? Did they ever decide on which EMLL or AAA yet? It's been a couple weeks now. Haven't heard.
Oh, you mean as far as I think. I don't know if they're still if they're still doing the 3-hour block. I think they haven't done the switch yet, because what they were going to do is they were going to move them to different. Because AAA got, I think it's the Friday night real late slot, but they still are in the old slot too. So I mean,
they're still doing 3 hours.
Yeah, and then, but then they also have that 1 hour time. The AWA Sin Limite or whatever, which AWA Extreme. I mean AAA Extreme, which is a horrible show from what I hear. Which I think. The AAA, I'm not sure of this, but I think this coming Tuesday, the Galavision's gonna go up to 4 hours. I think because I saw an ad when I was watching Galavision the other night, and it was advertising for 7 o'clock starting Tuesday for the AAA, Extreme show, and then the regular show's from 8 to 11. So I just got the feeling they're gonna do a 4 hour block of wrestling, starting Tuesday. I could be wrong.
Would Conan ever go back there? Because I wouldn't believe his chances are great getting the new WCW, but you think he'd ever...
Conan?
Yeah.
I mean, he sent feelers to EMLL and AAA. So far, he's got a lot of problems with both promotions. They don't like him, so he's got to kind of make amends. So, just because he's a big star and everything, and in business is business, I think sooner or later, I think that Conan's going to be back in Mexico with one company or the other. I just don't know. It may take a while, though.
Yeah. And my last question was, in regards to the thing with Balls Mahoney and Maryland a couple of weeks ago, what was the deal back in '88 with Flair and Luger when that doctor, did that have, I know it wasn't a shoot or anything, but did they incorporate something like that into that angle? Because I didn't really like the way they ended that match. It didn't make a whole lot.
There wasn't, that was the planned finish. The problem was there wasn't enough blood to get the finish over, so on TV, everyone thought it was Brian, do you know this pay-per-view we're talking about?
Which one?
It was the first Great American Bash pay-per-view in 1988. Flair and Luger was the main event, and they did a finish. The finish that was planned was, Luger would have like Flair in the torture rack, and the referee the commission would stop the match because Luger was bleeding and stop it on blood, which was an old pro wrestling finish. But the problem was that, Luger didn't cut himself enough, so it was like the finish didn't get over. The commission stopped it because, the commission doesn't allow blood in Maryland. So it was a worked finish that was executed terribly because Luger didn't bleed bad enough.
But the problem with that, though, was the next year when they had Flair and Funk. Flair bled like crazy. Well, more than what Luger did. And they didn't. That's the thing I never understood about it. Because
I could tell you about that one. The commission went home before that match, and this is truth. And the reason they went home before that match was because it was see no evil, hear no evil. It's like it was one of those things where, they were going to do blood because it was a big grudge match, and it wasn't. And that finish was supposed to be a pinfall. So the commissioners, to protect their ass, they just for some reason they all went home before the main event. That's all. That's what I like about state. That's what I like about state athletic commissions.
Yeah, I guess
that's a hell of an argument for regulation, isn't it?
I guess Balls' match was on too early. I guess he was out of luck.
Well, he'd been suspended twice or warned twice or whatever it was, so they weren't going to cut him any slack, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got, guys. Appreciate the comments and enjoy the show as always.
Okay, let's go to Terry. Terry, how are you?
Cut him any slack?
Okay, yes. How you doing, David?
What's going on?
Okay, yes, y'all remember Ahmed Johnson in his UWF days? Global Wrestling Federation.
Yes, I remember Ahmed Johnson as Tony Norris, right?
Yeah, back then. Well, I think he was in the name of Muad'Dib, the Nubian Warrior.
Oh, yeah, Muad'Dib, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember, yeah.
So it seemed like he was a better worker then than he was before he went to the WWF because he gotten bigger.
I think he was, and I think that his ego got out of control in the WWF too, and I don't know. Yeah, because when he was Muad'Dib, I remember, like in Japan and everything, everybody was going like, this guy's going to be the next big thing. And then he went to WWF. They pushed him like crazy. He did get over originally, but he just got huge. Got huge and started hurting people and hurting himself, and he was just a total disaster.
Yeah, he was a high flyer too.
Yeah, he was. He was the biggest high flyer I ever saw. You know,
I remember one day he did like a giant tope, like over the top rope. But he landed on his own head, and I don't even think he touched his opponent. But he jumped right back up, and I thought, wow, this guy's going to kill himself or somebody.
Yeah, and he did both.
He did. He did.
Yeah.
I wish he would have kept that character when he was in the WWF.
You know, I don't know if a Mo Adib would have gotten over real well in the WWF.
Well, they got Farouk.
Yeah, that's true. So.
Oh, yeah. Why y'all think the Wolfpack couldn't get over good?
Farouk, remember Farouk's original gimmick with that?
Yeah,
with that giant thing on his head.
that hat on his head.
Farouk Assad.
Oh my God! What a horrible.
You know, I think Farouk debuted on a TV taping that I was actually at live. I think that was a show where he got kicked in the kidney.
He did. He debuted in Seattle or Tacoma. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We go, who the hell is this guy here, and what's his name? We can't even understand it. We thought they called him like Faroukasaurus or something, like he was a dinosaur. Then he got kicked, and it was all over from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was horrible right there, too.
Yeah.
That was.
Oh, and then, yeah. Did Russo, matter of fact, talk on Vince McMahon out of that headgear?
He may have. I don't know. It could have been.
I think Russo would be the guy that talked him into the headgear.
I don't know.
Yeah, because he talking one time. We were talking on WCW live one time. He was talking about how he talked McMahon out of that, and talked McMahon out of Steve Austin being the ringmaster.
Oh, how about that?
I'm sure everyone today did that one. Didn't take a lot. I remember like the second week that would have been when Steve Austin was the ringmaster. It was like, boy, this one's really not working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how about this though? This probably be a career killer for The Rock right here. If Rock turned on the fans and then joined up with the new version of Nation Domination,
this is not the week. This is not the week or year to be doing anything like that.
No.
Why don't they just turn everyone heel and have no baby faces over? That's a great idea.
Okay. I don't know if this has ever worked though. I don't know if we've been for it. I had an idea for Stevie Ray and Booker T feud where Booker T started going to carjack different wrestlers' car every week until they get caught. Then Booker T was going to find out who's behind it. He found out it was his brother. And then then Booker T going to bring his wife out there with him, and then his wife going to low blow her husband, and then kiss Stevie Ray in the mouth.
It's not going to happen.
Put a lot of thought in that one, didn't you?
It's not going to happen though.
What's got that? I think it's Pentagon.
Al, you know what you should do is get a one of those what's it called? AAA the Music or EML the Music.
Get Brazo de Plata's music on here.
Oh, I love that song. That guy does have the greatest ring entrance, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. That's
what's
awesome.
the name of the song? Do you guys know?
We have no idea.
I don't know. It's like it's sort of like Spanish, although it's in English. So it's it can't be Spanish in English, but it's like the guy speaks with like a Spanish. He speaks English in like a
he's a Mexican guy speaking English.
Something about
I don't really care what in this.
Forget. I'm not going to try to sing it, so forget it.
Put Mexican guy speaking English in a Napster and see what comes up with.
What is that? I am on Napster right now. We can try that.
No.
Oh, that would be funny.
Hey, put in Super Porky.
Super Porky?
Yeah. See if it comes up with anything.
Super Porky ring entrance.
The title.
That's
the name of the wrestler. Okay. Brazo de Plata. This says Nova's girlfriend is Molly Holly. I have never heard that before.
Really?
And I was back.
That's going to make all those girls in the audience very sad.
We'll find out. We'll probably have Nova back on the show. It's like I saw Molly Holly and Nova backstage. We were at the show last week, and I don't remember them being together. They didn't, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't come together. I mean, it may be true. I don't know. I try to not know these things. That's like my goal in life is not knowing that stuff. Let's see. Will Shane Douglas have a job with the Big Two? Why or why not?
The Big Two? Probably the Big One.
It's not out of the realm of possibility, but I would think more likely as an announcer than as a wrestler. I think that the feeling is that he's too injury prone to work a 200-day-a-year schedule, and they're looking for guys, and not all that great of a worker. So I think that the feeling is that he's a good talker, so maybe as a manager or an announcer, I think is probably a better bet. Let's see. I was wondering how many people watched the final episode of MASH. The rating was a 60.2 with a 77 share. It's a hell of a number.
Wow.
It aired in 1983.
That's better than WWC.
That was actually the highest rated show at that time, but I believe two other shows have broken that record since.
Have they? What shows?
What was it? It was the last episode of some television show, and I can't remember.
Dallas, maybe?
No.
The Who Shot JR of Dallas would have been the big one, not the last episode. They were already
actually,
dead
I could find that out. Give me a minute, I'll find it out.
Okay, find out how many people that is. That way I don't have to go to the computer and try to figure something out that I don't know. Let's see. What time will The Rock be on MTV Diary? 10:30 Eastern. Let's see. I hope Jack Briscoe and Dory Funk Jr. lead the WCW in the WWF angle. Okay, great.
Jack Briscoe's a free agent.
That's right.
And Dory Funk Jr.
That's right. Hey, I just talked to Dory Funk Jr. the other day, too. Who was on the WWF booking committee? Let's see. Let's see. I think it'd be writing committee, so that'd be like, let's see, Paul Heyman, Stephanie McMahon, Shane McMahon's in there, Michael Hayes, Tom Pritchard, Bruce Pritchard, Jamie Morris, Brian Gewirtz. I think there's another guy. I think those are the names. Anyway. Let's see. I truly agree with Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff, who criticized the Radicals for jumping in saying that they're not much higher in the WWF than they were in WCW. Sure, Benoit has main evented a few times with WWF, but Benoit was getting a main event push in WCW right before he left. But he's making a lot more money, and he's a lot less frustrated, and he's having a lot better matches. Eddie Guerrero has not surpassed his mid-card status, and I think Dean Malenko and Perry Saturn found more success in WCW. Yeah, Perry Saturn and Dean Malenko did get more success in WCW, but I think both guys are, like, thrilled out of their minds to be out of WCW, too. It's just the atmosphere I think they wanted out. You got something?
What was that?
No, I thought Al was going to click in. Okay, because I have a question I've always wondered about. Were Eddie Graham and Ronnie Gossett related? I know they're both from Chattanooga and even look a bit alike. They don't look anything alike. Come on. I don't think so. Let's see. Was Wendy Richter the first choice to be Cyndi Lauper's mystery protege? As far as I know, yes. I think that's what was the plan. Butch Reed of the Mid-South, was one of my favorite heels of the 80s. How do you feel his World League Wrestling work has been of late, and have you had him on the program? We have not had him on the program, and I have not seen Butch Reed wrestle in probably 8 to 10 years. So I have no idea how he would be now, Butch Reed would probably be about 48 years old now. I have no idea. I don't know if he's in good shape. I don't know. I know he's wrestling for World League Wrestling. He's their number one guy. Let's see. Since you and Brian work for the WWF, it would make the show much better if you guys showed up at the booking meetings. That'd make the booking meetings more entertaining. The Rock going to WCW is essential to WCW's success. After a short run in WWF where The Rock is beaten out of the WWF by the heels, his career could be saved by Shane. He could lead Shane's army against Vince's troops in a promotional show in 18 months or 2 years down the road. Let's go to Carlo. Carlo, what's going on?
How you doing, guys?
Hey.
Doing good.
I have a few questions about the WCW WWF situation. I haven't heard hardly any talk about this except an interview with I can't remember his name, is the president of WWF Canada.
Carl DeMarco?
Yeah, I would ask him about the whole if he had heard anything from the antitrust courts, and he said that
the antitrust deal, yeah.
Yeah, he said that they only bought the copyrights, they didn't actually buy the business. So
doesn't
that
mean anything.
There wouldn't be any problem there. Have you heard anything about that, or?
I think that it's one of those things where if the antitrust people look into it, who knows? There's only one time that antitrust ever came into pro wrestling that I'm aware of. And I take that back. I mean, it may have happened in the 20s but I don't know of it. But I know in the late 50s, the National Wrestling Alliance, which was much different from the WWF, in that the National Wrestling Alliance were a group of promoters in every city that pretty much controlled the whole country at the time. There were antitrust lawsuits against them, for black, and things like that, and they had to sign a consent decree and all this stuff. They were in a lot of trouble. I mean, the whole industry was in trouble from a Justice Department investigation. So it did happen in the 50s. Vince McMahon has far more power than those NWA guys had.
Yeah, but Vince isn't preventing anybody from starting up. If you got $1 billion, you want to start a company tomorrow, go to town.
Yeah, that's true, and they probably were, because when somebody would start up against those guys, they would like all work together to run them out of business. So you're right, there's a total difference, and that's right. And Vince isn't going to, I don't think he's going to stop anyone from starting up. Why should he?
I mean, the only way that you could probably argue that he's stopping people from starting up is if you claim that he's got every top name under a guaranteed contract. But I don't even think that would hold up.
But that's not his fault.
Yeah.
I mean,
they got nothing on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've thought about it a lot as far as the purchase and everything like that, and I think in the short term, it could be good where the WCW product could get better, and you might have like an invasion thing. But I think in the long run, it's if like nobody starts up, no big company comes along,
Well, many will start up. It's just a question if any of them will ever get get anywhere after they start up. I mean, we're going to see startups like crazy. But I have no confidence in any of them right now that are, will even be factors. I mean, remember, like WXO was on TV for like 4 weeks, or Urban Wrestling, or WOW. I mean, all these things started up in the last year, but none of them they even had, a lot of television, but they really didn't mean anything.
I don't see what Vince's motivation would be to keep the whole WCW thing going for the long term. If
what would be his motivation?
Yeah, like why?
Well, if he can make a second brand as strong as the brand he's got right now, he's got twice the success, twice the money, twice everything.
Yeah, if he can make it real profitable, I mean, I could see it, sure. It's just a question of you got to turn. If it turns into a profitable thing, he'll keep it going, and if it doesn't, eventually he won't. It's the market will dictate it.
You think he'll get Steiner, Scott Steiner?
I think eventually, for sure, he'll get Scott Steiner. Yeah, because Scott Steiner wants to come, and they want him. So yeah. I think so. Now, will Scott Steiner last? That's up to Scott Steiner. It's not up to them. I mean, if Scott Steiner does the same stuff he did in WCW, he won't last. And if he does, if he behaves himself,
I think he'll last.
Well,
I see
hopefully.
As far as Steiner, it's just like the environment. So I mean, you talk to a lot of people, they'll all tell you, Steiner's, he's a real professional guy. He was just in an environment where they encouraged him to be an idiot, so he was. They gave him the world title because of it.
Yeah, you're right.
Where do you think Bruiser Brody would be today if he was coming up today, or if he was still wrestling, or
he's 55, he'd be 55 years old, so hopefully he'd be retired by now. If not, he'd be like Terry Funk, running around doing these hardcore matches and bleeding and everything. If a guy like a Bruiser Brody came along, he's one of those. There's very few guys, if you watch tapes of guys from the 80s, where you look at him and go, wow, if he came along now, he'd be really good. I think the only ones. Savage, because he was such a good athlete. I think Steamboat probably would have been real good because of his workability. There's others, but Bruiser Brody would have been Bruiser Brody and Ric Flair to me are the two guys from that era who, if they were to come along now, they would be, bigger now than they were even then, because they really had it. And Brody was a big, impressive, athletic guy who knew how to work and everything like that. Knew how to work for his size. Better than pretty much anyone today. I think of that same size. Although he couldn't get over as a big guy because now in the WWF because actually he'd be like the same size as Billy Gunn or somebody. But he was a good enough athlete; he'd still have gotten over.
And the last thing I want to ask you,
it's 2001. He may have been a bit bigger.
He did all that stuff then. How much bigger? He'd have been more.
I think what you were doing then, if you wanted to do it now, you could be bigger.
Not taller.
Not taller, but...
No, you're right. No, you know what? He'd be 30 pounds heavier, and he'd be twice as cut. You're right.
Yeah.
No doubt. Okay, go ahead.
Did Vince McMahon know that Kerry Von Erich had 1 foot when he came into WWF, or did he have any idea of that?
I think he had a pretty darn good idea, yes. It wasn't that big of a secret. Yeah.
And didn't he fire him eventually?
Yeah, they had to fire him because he just couldn't clean himself up. I mean, they had no choice.
Because they had, I know they gave him the Intercontinental title.
Yeah.
Someone told me, they had pretty much big plans for him.
They had big plans. Oh, Vince loved him. Vince had been trying for years to get Kerry Von Erich from day one, from '83. I think that the guys that that was one of the guys he wanted the most. And Kerry, his dad was a promoter and he didn't want to leave. And, he had it ready-made, so he didn't have to go anywhere. And finally, when that company started going down, Vince made the deal, got him. I think, and I think Vince would have had real big plans for him, but the guy self-destructed. It was a sad story.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, guys.
Okay, you're very welcome. Let's go to Nick. Nick, what's going on?
How you doing, guys?
Doing really good.
Okay. I have two brief questions. Recently, Russ McCullough and PCAST have left Memphis and went to IWA in Puerto Rico. Are they like...
Have they gone? Have they gone? Because I just got the... I mean, Russ McCullough's in Puerto Rico, but I haven't seen Pete Gas there yet.
Well, they announced on the OVW website that he left. That PCAST has gone to Puerto Rico, I believe.
The OVW website?
Yeah.
Oh, he doesn't even work for OVW, but I think, I had heard Pete Gas was...
I'm pretty sure he's gone there. I don't think he's worked any shows yet, but I'm pretty sure he's there.
Yeah, because I had heard he was going, but I haven't seen his name in any results.
Yeah, not OVW, Memphis.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have another question. What's the deal with... Well, I know Taz he's pretty much not even a superstar anymore. But what's the deal with them not letting him use his suplexes? Like, what was the whole...
It's not that they don't let him use his suplexes, but they want him to do more in the matches than just one suplex after another after another.
They want him to be like a brawler?
I mean, he still does his suplexes every now and then. It's just not like an entire match filled with them.
Yeah.
Plus, they don't really want him to get over doing these dangerous ones because nobody wants to take them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even I don't really think that Taz does any suplexes that
they're not
are actually dangerous.
Yeah, because he never hurt people. And I mean,
I think it's kind of like a thing where Vince McMahon. Remember, Vince McMahon thought the DDT was like a devastating move.
Yeah, and then remember when he watched Modest?
Yeah.
Yeah, flinching about. Yeah.
Yeah, when he watched Modest, he thought that they totally screwed up the spot, and they actually did the spot exactly the way he was supposed to.
It was the Fisherman suplex. It was Fisherman Brainbuster.
Fisherman Buster, right?
Yeah, right. And he said, we have to fix that.
Yeah, because he thought that because he'd never seen that move done in Japan, so therefore he thought that they just botched up a Fisherman suplex. Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, guys.
Okay, very welcome. Let's see. Should we go to Sean or? Okay, we're gonna go to break.
By the way, just to let you know, Cheers was one of the other television shows, their final episode that had one of the biggest ratings. I'm still trying to find out the numbers though.
Okay, yeah, I do remember the final episode of Cheers being huge, and the final episode of MASH, and the Who Shot JR. I think those are like the three big ones, and then the other ones would be all the Super Bowls and Roots. Remember, didn't Roots do like some monster rating?
Yeah, I think so, but not the monster rating that MASH and Cheers did.
Okay. Anyway, so I don't know. Austin and Undertaker didn't quite get to that level. And let me correct this, which actually makes sense. A couple people have emailed that Nova and Molly Holly are in fact not a couple. So my eyes did not deceive me last Wednesday. The hosts of a wrestling radio show in Florida called Between the Ropes are trying to get them together. Oh, so someone's trying to set them up. So that's where this, and which of course later
it is a slow news week,
isn't it? Though this is from John, who says the Rock Diary.
Why those two?
I have no idea. We'll have to talk to him. I don't know. Anyway, why was Dusty Rhodes given the NWA World Title in 1981? Was it because Harley Race didn't want to drop the title to Flair? Or did the NWA Board of Directors originally intend to go with Dusty as a long-term champion? No, I mean, that was the plan. What the plan was is that they were going to do a couple of quick title changes and revolve the title around. Race was going to lose it, and the guys that were going to bounce it around were DiBiase, Flair, and Dusty Rhodes. And in the typical story of DiBiase's career, somehow, I don't know what happened.
It got bounced right out of his hands.
It got bounced from one to the other, but it bounced right through him, yeah. Let's see. Oh, this is too scary. Who would you recommend an indie worker write to get work in Japan for FMW, Big Japan, New Japan, All Japan? Okay, this is what you should do.
Call the offices.
Find someone, get a hold of the American booker for each of those companies, and I don't know who they are, but the best way to do that is probably to find an American talent that works for those companies. See, for FMW, a good person would be Victor Quinones, but be friends with them, somehow send tapes to them, and they will, that's a lot easier. If you start sending tapes to a Japanese company, I don't know if I've ever heard of anyone just sending a blind tape there and getting booked. I mean, the guys who get booked, it's because one of the bookers for the company knows you and has seen you. It's not like, actually, wouldn't be like that in the WWF either. If you just send a bunch of blind tapes, you'll end up on Tough Enough or something. Do you think DDP will sign a WWF contract? If so, when? He will when he gets his WCW buyout, or if not, in about 8 or 9 months when his WCW contract expires. then he would. I mean, I'm sure he's going to... I don't think there's any question he'll end up there. It's just a question of when it'll be. Wouldn't you say that, Brian?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. That theme that we were talking about for Pentagon was from Star Wars. I know it was from Star Wars, but I just remembered when I was listening to that song.
The Imperial March.
Yes. But I was just thinking, like, what guy in AAA did Payne you give that music to? Let's see. I broke down and bought tickets to Judgment Day in Sacramento. The way things look, I want my money back. Hunter and Kane might be worse than Austin and Undertaker. Will there be any matches worth seeing? Well, I mean, those same guys. I mean, there should be matches worth seeing, I mean...
Man, I can see Hunter Kane right now. It's going to be Hunter working on his arm for like 30 minutes.
Yeah. No, I hope it won't be that long. Let's see. What was the deal with Hulk Hogan announcing his retirement on Jay Leno, then continuing to wrestle?
He didn't announce his retirement. He announced that he was tired.
No, he went on there to announce his retirement because they spent...
Remember, I know, but that's what he said when he came back. I never said I was going to retire, brother.
I just said I was tired. That's right. That is what. That's what he said when he came back. Yeah, and I just loved that. Jay Leno. That was probably Jay Leno's best interview ever with a wrestler that night, though. Remember? I mean, he just made Hulk Hogan look like a complete...
as far as going, it's going to be like, does that mean 7 weeks? And it ended up being like 6. Jay Leno of all people missed it by 1 week.
I know. And then he goes like, you're out there sucking your gut in and all that. Oh, he just made Hogan look like a complete idiot. Was it a failed attempt to get out of his WCW contract? No, it was a failed attempt to do a wrestling angle on Jay Leno. I know why the WWF is doing the China Sable story. They're hoping that China becomes her character, realizes she's better than the WWF, and then leaves so they don't have to pay off the rest of her contract. When Vince had to leave following the Austin Undertaker First Blood match, Vince didn't just come back. He returned to save Linda, and then the next week on Raw, Austin said that he was the only person who could reinstate him, and he did. That's true. That was the way they got
so
out
it made sense. Okay, yes. That's like Mick Foley and his contracts that he signed in December.
Yeah. Okay. See, Bruiser Brody and Leon White did have a match that ended in a DQ after Brody used a chair and perceived to break the Baby Bull's leg. Okay, so the match that I was talking about was probably a rematch from that. So I guess he did an angle with him too. I just remember I just remember that match. I think it might have been in Indianapolis, but the city could be wrong. It just rings a bell where Leon White was just like, I have no idea what's going on here, but I didn't have to take any bumps. Let's see. Do you think it's possible that Eric Bischoff purposely screwed up the Fusion deal so they could send the WCW guys to the WWF and destroy the company from within? Then when the WWF's at death's door, Bischoff will run in and buy the companies for pennies on the dollar. Yep, that's exactly what happened. What happened to Tully Blanchard?
Funny thing about bumps, we're always talking about the difference between wrestling then and wrestling now. I've actually listened to older wrestlers talk when they're going over their matches, and they'll be talking to people, and they'll actually know how many bumps they're going to take in a match. It's the weirdest thing. It's going like, I'm taking 5 bumps tonight.
Really?
I don't think everybody does it, but I've heard it before, and it just struck me as so strange that they would actually count how many bumps they're going to be taken in a match.
Okay, here is the card for May the 30th for the Ultimate Pro Wrestling. Samoa Joe against Sean O'Haire for the UPW title. Adam Pearce against Josh Wilcox, which was the match that they built up at the last show. The Ballard Brothers against Frankie Kazarian and Nova, which is actually probably going to be a hell of a match. Rey Mysterio Jr. versus Prodigy. Prodigy's this oh God, it's a good match for him. Prodigy's like 17, 18-year-old guy. One of those really high-flying guys.
Yeah.
Chavo Guerrero Jr. against Mikey Henderson, which is actually a pretty damn good match there. Chuck Palumbo versus Keiji Sakota. Tony Jones against the Blue Meanie. Oh, poor Tony.
Oh.
Michael Modest and Donovan Morgan against the Ultimate Army. The Ultimate Army's what's this John Heidenreich and Nathan Jones. Oh boy. Oh, we got when do we got Modest and Morgan on? Al, we got them on sometime soon. Maybe the last time we have them on. They're taking on Modest and Donovan Morgan are taking on Nathan Jones and John Heidenreich on the next UPW show.
Wow. Is that? Oh, that's the May 30th show.
May 30th show, yeah.
Should I book our plans to be there?
Well, I don't know about that, but make sure to book Modest before that day.
I will do that.
Let's see. If the writers strike, what do you think the chances of SmackDown being shown in primetime on CBS are? None. Let's go to Sean. Sean, what's up?
Hey, what's up, Dave? What's going on?
Nah, not too much.
That's good. Hey, I don't know if you're going to like my call, man. I didn't send you any tapes. I'm not going to talk about WCW, and I'm not going to take like 20 minutes. But, yeah, I was thinking, speaking of Von Erichs, how's Kevin doing these days?
I have no idea.
Is that a setup?
No. I'm serious.
Okay.
When the caller brought it up, I just remember, watching him back in the day.
Yeah, I don't know what he's up to. I just know he's living
I thought it was a
in Texas.
setup to see if we could get him on the show.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. They gotta be a worse interview than Neidhart.
Yeah, he would be. Much worse.
I
happen to enjoy Neidhart a lot yesterday, believe it or not.
Yeah, really. I was kind of worried like the first 5 minutes of that interview, but it really picked up.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Actually, the reason I called, with SmackDown tonight, do you know if Jeff Hardy got any offense in against Triple H, or was it just another squash?
I would bet that he did.
I think he did.
I don't know how much, or...
Yeah.
Okay. One more thing. Were there any grumblings backstage after Jericho got killed by Rhino on Raw?
Not that I heard. No. I mean, I don't know, but I didn't hear.
Rumblings as far as what?
Just,
why or anything like that?
Yeah, why? Just people getting jealous of Rhino because he's getting a decent push, even though he's only been in the company for a couple months.
You're not allowed to do that in the WWF. If you do something like that, this is WCW. If you complain, you do it to your friends and you make sure it doesn't come out, because it's a kiss of death if you complain openly in the dressing room about stuff like that.
Okay,
it's not really
that's what I think.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Let's go to Jason. Jason, what's up?
It's great to talk to you. I discovered the show probably about a month ago or so and didn't know it existed till then, but I'm really glad you've kind of screwed up many days for me since I've stayed up a little late listening to the replays every night. But I appreciate the fact you guys are on. Just a couple things real quick. First thing, you should have a rule where people can't ask how you are. Because it's like, we already know you're doing good. You ask Brian at the beginning of the show. And then,
I'm always doing pretty good.
Well, that's okay. I can understand it. It varies day to day.
Yes.
But, it's kind of funny because people say, hey, how you doing? And there's dead air and you're just sitting there waiting. Oh, we're doing great. Okay.
When Vince Russo's on the show, we'll swerve everybody and say we're doing really bad.
Yeah, actually, I think you should do that or just say, I have a headache and a bit of a hangnail, but other than that, I'm doing all right. Brian, you're hilarious. It's funny when, you just kind of come up self-help.
Do you read his stuff?
Honestly, no.
Well, you better read his stuff because he's much funnier in print.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there's no comparison.
He has time to work it out?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. First thing I was wondering...
He gets to review wrestling shows and think about them like this is all spontaneous.
Right, okay. Well, I should probably do some of that. Because it's just funny because you guys will be talking about something and then, out of nowhere it's just and sometimes Dave, you'll go, huh? What was that? And then the worst part is then he has to tell you again, you're like...
Hey, you make me sound bad now. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I wasn't intended like that. You can clean that up on the next replay, okay? Is there a way I can either view or listen to the Ultimate Fighting thing on the web or anything like that tomorrow? Because I have cable and...
I don't even know. Al, did they... I know that they tried once to do UFC through the internet and it was a total flop.
Right, that was payforview.com, but they're no longer offering that service because DirecTV kind of put a kibosh on that.
Oh, that's nice.
So the only way... There's really no place on the internet that you're going to be able to listen to it or watch it.
Okay.
I know the UFC people will be trying to post up a finished card, after the show. How long they do that?
Oh, we'll have on our website. We'll have the thing updated every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
WrestlingObserver.com tomorrow night.
That's probably the best way to go about it. Otherwise, Jason, where are you in Virginia?
Richmond.
Okay, you don't have access to. Comcast cable doesn't carry down there, do they?
I'm on AT&T broadband. And
oh, you're screwed.
That's it.
You're like us.
Yeah.
Like I didn't already know that.
The best thing for you to do is you might want to call the local bars around the area. There's a possibility that one of them might carry it on...
Small possibility.
Yeah, on either DirecTV. Otherwise, if you know somebody who's got Comcast cable, their digital service carries it.
Really?
Or you have a friend with DirecTV.
Right.
Yeah, actually, I bought my mom a dish a couple years ago, so maybe I'll go
over her house and see.
Tell her she's going to be watching Ultimate Fighting tomorrow night.
Tell her that it's like you can't wait to see her for Friday night dinner.
Trust me, it's going to be a great card tomorrow night. I'm actually going to be there live, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, can't you just do it? Can I call you on your cell phone or something, and you can give me?
You know what? I'll put you on the phone with Eddie Goldman. He'll be so happy to talk with you during the middle of the fight.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Listen, Eddie Goldman is the king of. I can say this because I'm good friends with Eddie.
Right.
Eddie Goldman is the king of tact. He actually called me last Friday while I was in the middle of a wake for my dead aunt,
my God.
and asks me, "Are you busy?" I said, "Well, Eddie, I kind of have a dead body sitting in front of me. My aunt wants to talk to you. Here, maybe you can spark her back to life."
Did he think it was a work?
No, I didn't think so. He kept talking. He actually kept talking though. He says, "Well, I got this great interview, Eddie. I'm a little bit busy right now."
Let me. I can actually see this happening though.
I know Eddie, and I can see it happening too.
Yeah. You guys do an excellent job. I know I've already said that, but I guess it doesn't hurt to say it again. Other question for both of you is if you have any recommendations as far as DVDs for, I don't want to say unconventional wrestling, but not typical like WrestleMania best or anything like that. I just kind of looking for a source on the web or something to get some stuff that I don't have.
Hey, how about those DVDs that I did the commentary for?
The wrestling.
Wrestling classics.
Yeah, that's definitely on my list. Yeah, without.
There's some good commentary in the FMW DVDs too.
Okay, that's not right. So, I mean, can I get those Wrestling Golds on? Do you know if like DVD Express has them as well?
Actually,
I don't know, but Al knows how to get them.
Yeah, I do. You can actually buy them from the EATA website.
It is okay.
Yeah, we have the link up there. Go to shopping
Yeah.
and look under CDs. We only have for books and CDs, but if you click on CDs,
Oh.
you'll be able to buy either the DVD version or the VHS version.
Okay.
Is available through Amazon.com.
No, it's a total of 6 separate ones, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
One,
Any
two,
any specific favorites?
No, there's five. There's five.
Oh, there's five.
There's 5.
There's 5.
Okay.
I have them right in front of me, believe it or not.
Okay.
God, let me see. I will go through this stuff. Okay, let's see. Nick Bockwinkel and Magnum was pretty green then. Nick Bockwinkel was good. Ivan Putski and Eddie Mansfield was horrible.
Paduski. That's Paduski.
Yeah, let me just see. I'm looking at this one. There's a Wahoo Tully. I don't remember that one. I did the commentary. Sheik and Butcher Mud Match. That was really horrible.
Mud match.
Mud match?
Mud match. What is it?
Yeah, Austin Idol and Masao Ito was horrible. Tully and Gino against Scott Casey and Terry Allen. I think that was pretty decent. Terry Taylor and Sabu, which is a different Sabu.
Yeah.
Wahoo Tommy Rogers, Ted Oates against and Marty Jannetty against Ted Oates and the Grapplers. Okay, let me see. Let's see. This one's got the best ones. Just to tell you, the best ones is the stuff that has Randy Savage and Lenny Poffo against the Rock and Roll and Bruiser Brody. And Nick Bockwinkel was very good. I'm just trying to think what else was on there that was good. I don't know. Some of the... Well, I think a lot of the Lawler stuff was pretty decent. It's a lot of, it's just... I don't know.
Yeah. I
Do you know how sales have been for that DVD?
Well, it's just come out, so I don't know. I mean, just come out.
So I'm just wondering if they would ever do some more in the future. I mean, there's got to be just, a million matches.
Do you guys have advertising other than is there? What kind of advertising are you guys doing? I mean, I'd like to see it do really well.
I'm not involved in that, but I think that they're going to be doing like that late night TV advertising kind of stuff.
Oh, good. So there will be some
like
TV.
an infomercial.
Not an infomercial,
cool.
Or just a commercial.
Yeah, just one of those commercials like that play in the middle of the night or something.
You and Cornette could do a hell of an infomercial.
That would be. I don't. If he sold like a vacuum on like
Cornette,
TV doing
Cornette would be great selling vacuums.
Dude, I would buy one. I would buy
how about Cornette like doing the Thigh Master instead of Suzanne Summers because her credibility's shot now.
I'd buy like a dozen. I'd put like stock in the company.
Cornette with the ab rollers and all that.
And any recommendations on the Ohio Valley tapes? That I know you were saying you can get some off the site and that kind of thing.
Yeah. The January 30th Christmas Chaos card's pretty good.
Okay, that's the one that Jim was talking about in his interview.
Yeah, with Nick Dinsmore and Chris Benoit and the Hardys and Lita against Disciples of Sin and all that. Yeah, that's a good show.
Okay, so you think that'd be a good introduction maybe to that federation?
Yes, that would be the one. If I was going to pick one, that would be that. That would be the tape to get.
It just kind of sucks because I'm here with just basic cable and I don't have access to anything but the WWF, which is pissing me off lately. But me and everybody else, that's nothing new.
Hopefully they don't turn into WCW. But God, it's like, don't they know that when they write that website stuff, that's exactly what WCW did? And it's like, And you know what? It causes this effect of that, like, they start getting mad at their audience for criticizing them, and then they start writing worse and worse television, and their ratings go down.
Really
and it's like this, and then it's like this cycle that they got to break out of that WCW cycle.
And the thing is, you know, I mean, I stopped watching, and this probably hurt me in a little way of not learning about some people, but I stopped watching WCW about 3 years ago because they just started.
So you missed all the good stuff.
I guess. What was there any?
There was a period when there was some. In fact, there was a period when I looked forward to watching WCW more than WWF.
See,
the light heavyweights were on there having awesome matches, and at least there were old guys in the top angles, but some of the angles were pretty good.
And I'll agree with you about that, Brian, as far as having, and they did have, that was the one thing I liked about over there, is they did have some nice long matches and stuff, and I kind of wish the WWF would pick up on that. But I guess my problem...
The last pay-per-view, they had long matches. That was, you know...
Yeah, I mean, my big problem is the old guys over there. I mean, and that's what pisses me off about Undertaker. I'm like, dude, you've been around for, I mean, just sit down, you know?
It's just hard. It's hard because you got this thing where they're such an institution that they get these giant pops coming out and they're part of the fabric of the promotion.
Right.
But sometimes, you know, it's like those kind of guys are the guys who should kind of like lay back.
Well, one person drove me away, and it was that sorry-ass Hogan. Pretty much
he drove a lot of people away.
As soon as he came over there, I'm like, you know what? He has to be on top regardless. You know, I heard people talking about, you know, people who didn't know a whole lot about wrestling, but saying, hey, you know, it'd be interesting, though, to have Hogan come into WWF now and, like, you know, have people beat the crap. I'm like, that's not going to happen because his ego is too huge. You know, he wouldn't allow that. I mean, what are you kidding?
No.
You know, it's like, I used to laugh because years and years ago when Jesse was commentating for the WWF, he used to call him, you know, the egomaniac and all that, but in reality, you know, it was partially a shoot. Because it was like...
Man, it was, yeah.
You know, and he used to talk about that all the time, but that guy just makes me ill, and I just couldn't watch it because I knew one way or the other he was going to come out there. And I'll tell you, because of your program, the program you did about, you know, with Ric Flair and everybody, the tribute.
Oh, the Johnny Valentine show the other day, yeah.
Yeah, I regained kind of a respect for Ric Flair. I have to admit, it's been driving me nuts the past few years with him out there because I'm like, you know, you were great in the 80s, but, you know, geez, give me a break, man. Why aren't you in the back booking matches or something? Why do we get to see you?
Because he was such a good talker whenever, you know, and he was the one guy that they could always count on for a rating.
Yeah.
Although at the end they couldn't even count on him anymore either because they just, you know, you can only you know,
humiliate a guy and make him look like an idiot so long.
And
what did Lex Luger say about the Cadillac? You could only hit it with the baseball bat so many times. What was it? With the Ferrari. It was Ferrari. You can only hit a Ferrari with a baseball bat so many times before it's like not any good. And then like Johnny Ace goes, and what does that have to do with you?
Because I think Luger was hit with a bat way before he started wrestling. But I don't know. It just drove me, and I guess like you guys said, it's kind of unfortunate because I probably did, you know, miss some good stuff. But it was worth it to me to not see Hogan, and you know, I'm sorry to say it because I was the biggest Ric Flair fan forever, and I just got tired of seeing him every week out there. Woo! You know, still, you know, it's like 20 years ago that was cool, man. But I don't know, it just got really old on me. But I'll tell you, you guys have had some tremendous programs since I've been listening in the past month, and that tribute program was excellent. Just listening to everybody kind of talk and reminisce, and I really enjoyed that Jim Neidhart interview last night. At first, I was kind of like, you know, but hey, not everybody's radio material or you know, that kind
Jim
of thing.
Jim Neidhart was a different kind of entertaining for me.
Right. I mean,
he was.
It was
but
great.
He was entertaining. He was entertaining.
And it was really interesting hearing him, even though he didn't really go
during his interview.
I'm sorry. I think it was Brian again. Listen to the replay to get this shit.
Your Olympic hero is scheduled to wrestle in a match against the man they call the Big Red Retard.
No, Big Red Machine.
And not that I have anything against retarded people, because I don't. As a matter of fact, I have a lot of retarded fans out there that admire and respect your Olympic champion. It's true. And I wish them well.
Who writes that stuff? Oh, my God. Got a bunch of emails I want to get through. This is, whatever happened to Tully Blanchard in the WWF, and where is he now? Tully Blanchard gave notice to the WWF one day, and then suddenly, as luck would have it, he failed a drug test. And he actually had a job in WCW, but they would not take him because of that failed drug test. So he was very depressed, and he was driving along a road, and he found God. And now he is preaching, as a matter of fact. If the WWF is willing to take back Sean Stasiak, then why not Jeff Jarrett? Because Sean Stasiak never went to Vince McMahon and said, I'm not going to do a job for this broad unless you give me $200,000 right now. Is that the basic reason?
That's pretty much the basic reason.
Yeah. From what I've seen, he has no trouble putting people over, which is what they need to do to elevate guys like Kidman. Being that he's been a main eventer for the last year and a half, he would only
Well, he did have trouble putting somebody over.
Yeah. No, it wasn't actually putting her over. It was just, he just wanted,
he just wanted some extra cash.
It was just doing the match. Yeah. This is from someone who was at the match with Helms.
I mean, the thing is, Sean Stasiak didn't do anything to rile up Vince McMahon. It was an incident that happened, and it may have been a misunderstanding. Who knows? Jeff Jarrett dug himself a hole with Vince McMahon, and now he will pay for it.
Yeah. This is someone who saw the Jeff Hardy Triple H match on Tuesday night that's airing tonight. He goes, the match is a squash. It lasts 3 minutes or so. Hardy gets 2 comebacks, mostly kicks and punches, then Triple H treats him like a joke at the end because he runs over, gives him this quick pedigree, and then just leaves. It made Jeff look very bad.
That's good.
So much for that. Okay, this one's for you, Al. According to the Lucha Libre theme song list, which is at WWE... Okay, now we got to get this because they actually have this.
www.highspots.com/arena/lucha-themes/ht.htm. I'm already on the site.
Just go to Okay, good.
I'm looking for it on Napster. Can't find it. They don't have it.
They don't got
check out High Spots.
No, for some reason, there's a lot of filters that they've been putting in Napster because, copyrighted material. So a lot of searches that you look for, they don't have the artist. But I'll find it.
Oh, man. Well,
I heard Napster was going after Super Porky's theme.
Okay, here's the list of the top-rated television shows in history. Number 1 is the final episode of MASH. Number 2 is the Who Shot JR episode. Number 3 is the final episode of Roots. Got that one right. Number 4 was Super Bowl 16. Number 5 was Super Bowl 17. The final Cheers was a 45.5 rating. Hey, does anyone know what the rating was? Because this was a 60.2 rating for the MASH final. Does anyone know what the final rating was for the Lou Thez Ricky Dozan match in at Corkin Stadium? Does anyone know? I mean, I know. It was a 72.7. So and I think that's the highest rated show. It's one of the highest rated shows in the history of Japanese television. I know that the 64 Olympics had a bunch of really high rated shows in Japan as well. It's from Angelo Walters, who goes, what percentage of Ken Shamrock's Pancrase matches had predetermined finishes? I believe the Matt Hume match and the Minoru Suzuki match did, and I don't think any of the others did. So maybe 2 out of about 25. Does that sound right? Do you know any of the others?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Okay. Who will Vanderlei Silva be fighting at the next Pride? I heard Daijiro Matsui. Let's see. No television. Okay, it was about the thing. Whatever happened to Tatanka? Last I saw him, he was on that iGeneration Wrestling pay-per-view. Let's see.
Tatanka, I believe, has a making money quick scheme on the internet as well. For those of you who'd like some extra cash. I couldn't tell you the website address, but I know it's up there because I saw it.
In the mid-'80s, who were the machines in the WWF? They were Andre the Giant and Bill Eadie. Let's go to Jimmy. Jimmy, what's up?
Come on, guys.
Hey,
Jimmy.
Yeah, man, I'm another Virginia boy calling in.
Uh-huh.
Listen, I got some questions. What exactly is going on with WOW?
Wow, they got 5 employees, $75,000 in the bank, and no hope.
I mean, that's just like I used to watch it on a local station, and they just went back 6 months for reruns after the pay-per-view.
Yeah, they after the pay-per-view, they stopped doing any new taping, so now they're just doing reruns.
So they're just basically going to fade into the sunset.
Most likely, unless they can find a new source of revenue, someone to give them some cash to start a new season, they'll fade away. But they're looking for money, like everyone is.
Right.
Like Tatanka.
Yeah, I tell you, I got another question for you.
They should hook up with Tatanka. That's the whole deal.
That's right. They should go to his website.
I got another question for you. What's going on? I mean, give me in a short, talk. What exactly caused Lawler and Cat to leave WWF?
They fired Cat, and Jerry was very upset. He went to Vince and said, and actually he went to Jim Ross when Jim Ross goes, that, you're going to have to tell your wife. And he goes, well, I'll tell her on the way home. And he goes, what do you mean? He goes, well, if she's fired, then I'm going home. And he went home.
So He's just basically they're just not going to have anything else to do with the WWF.
You never say never, but right now it doesn't look good. I think it's one of those things where I think that pretty much everyone in the company, with few exceptions, would probably like Jerry Lawler back.
Right.
I mean, there's probably like your half dozen exceptions, especially those writers that he messed up their emails of. But and Vince McMahon. But Vince McMahon will not take him back right now. Although I think he probably could be talking to taking him back, except Jerry won't come back unless she comes back, and there's no way Vince can take her back because then it's like he backed down to Jerry Lawler. So they're at this stalemate right now.
Was she really a troublemaker?
Was she really a troublemaker? You know,
I'm sure she must have caused at least a little bit of trouble. I don't know to what degree, but
there were people complaining about her at the end. So I guess there was something. I mean, there's something there for sure. I presume that's really why. I don't think that there's any great mystery as to why, this all happened. I think that the reasons that everyone's saying are the real reasons. I don't think there's like this big conspiracy or anything like that, to get rid of that. They went through her to get rid of him because I don't think they wanted to get rid of him.
Well, one last thing I want to ask you. I know Triple H and Stone Cold are the main characters in WWF. But why do they always have to be over so much every week, beating people to death? I mean, I know
it's not that I don't mind them getting heel heat to build up a pay-per-view.
I know that. I agree.
It's that they don't elevate people along the way. There's ways that you pound people into the ground at the end, but you really look vulnerable on the way, and they haven't done that first part. And as far as why, you got to ask them in the WWF. Because I have no logical answer for what's going on in the WWF. I thought and when I ask people, and I do, they don't give me a logical answer other than basically yep, I agree with you type of things.
Well, when is The Rock supposed to come back?
It's going to be for a while.
Whenever they're done filming the movie.
Is China just about ready to quit wrestling altogether or get back into it?
I think no one really knows that one for sure. I mean, if she had some offers from Hollywood, I'm sure she'd take them. If she doesn't, I'm sure she doesn't want to leave wrestling. It's a great way to keep herself on television.
Yes, spank the hind ends, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, y'all have a good one. I love your show.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go to Mike. Mike, what's up?
Dave, how you doing?
Doing really good.
Dave, Mike from New York. How's it going, man? What's the supposed start date at WCW? A writer posted something late in the day today. Says, he's going with it may not happen at all.
Hey, there is a chance.
He posted that today?
Yeah. Later in the day, he did one of those diatribes like, I have a source in WWF and you don't. You're one of those stories,
No, there is a chance it may not happen. I mean, the whole deal depends on the contract negotiations with TNN and the ability to speed it through. I mean, it's never like 100%, but it was certainly as of 2 or 3 days ago, everyone was working towards the idea that the thing was starting on June the 13th. I mean, I haven't heard anything, but they haven't announced ticket sales or anything like that, and it's not an official announcement, so they can move it back. I wouldn't be shocked to see it move back another month at all. Not at all.
With Jim Ross jetting around the country and stuff like that, when he goes to Florida, who would be people he would meet down there from WCW? Would that be like Kidman or Booker or people like that, or who's Florida people he would meet with?
I'm not even sure. I don't know.
Yeah. With Ray Jr. working Bassman, is Bassman like Ray's agent or rep or something like that?
They have a relationship. I think he still is. I'm not sure because Ray's got a bunch of different people that handle different stuff for him. It's hard for me to keep up, but I know there's some relationship there. Like when Ray got, Bassman has represented Ray in some stuff with WCW at points in time.
Yeah. Would he be one of the people they'd be looking to bring in?
Ray Jr. as far as WWF?
Yeah.
They're interested in him, but, they have an interest in him.
Mm-hmm. With all those WCW folks working Bassman, so that's what they're looking for when they tell the guys, hey, we want you to work indies. Like, is that the type of work they're looking for?
I think that's just where those particular guys are going. I mean, these guys can work indies wherever they want. I know, like, Lance Storm is working some indies.
But it doesn't hurt to work somewhere where, we know those folk, you know what I mean? It doesn't hurt.
Well, Bassman was told by Jim Ross that he wants him to put these guys on the show because he wants those guys to get work. And those guys, that we're talking about on the show, like O'Hare and Palumbo and Ray, and Chavo, they all live in Los Angeles, so it's the natural place to go.
Okay. Okay. And when
or Southern California, because some of them live in San Diego.
That's obvious.
Columbo and Ray live in San Diego. Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
when the WWF got the the films and the videos and the talent, obviously they got a bunch of rings. I heard they got about 12 rings. I heard wrestling rings. I know Terry Taylor got one of them. What do they exactly do with all of them? They figure out which one's good.
12 rings?
I hear they got 12 wrestling rings.
Wow.
What the hell do they have 12 rings for?
WCW. They, Power Plant, Thunder Ring, Nitro Ring.
I guess it's, well,
yeah.
When you always saw the Power Plant spot with Sergeant Butterly Parker, with all the
I guess there were like a couple of rings in there and then a couple for TV and house shows.
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense.
Yeah. When you look at the WCW rings, this seems to be smaller than the WWF rings. Would you say that?
Yeah, one was 16 by 16 and the other ones were, and WWF was 20 by 20. Yeah, so definitely.
Yeah. When you spoke to guys who work in both companies, who do they consider had a better ring? To work.
It depends on the guy. The smaller guys like the WCW ring.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jim Neidhart was on last night and he said that the WCW ring will add 5 years to your career, but it's harder to tell a story because it's a smaller ring in a tag match.
Yeah.
It's just what you get used to. But the high flyers I know like the WCW ring better.
I was reading on the site today about Eaton's situation, and basically the story was they didn't like his job, what he was doing.
Is that it? I mean, I don't know. I've been trying to find out myself about what the deal is with Bobby because I'm kind of sad about it. Because
I had heard from someone working both places that, well, basically, when WCW people, the complaint with Eaton when he was working at the power plant down there, he was, got the coffee. He was very reactive, not proactive, and that was the same complaint in Memphis. Kind of sat back, wasn't the take charge guy. I'm not talking about the sergeant, the power plant type of take charge. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Bobby is nice to a fault, and that may not be what they wanted from a guy there. Obviously, it wasn't because they let him go.
Yeah, it was on the story today on the net. It said about Cornette went to bat for him, and he's getting 8 weeks severance pay, and Cornette wants him to work down there for the 8 weeks he's under payroll yet. OVW.
That may very well be the case. I mean, Cornette loves him, so it makes sense. And Cornette would go to bat for him. So anyway,
hey, thank you,
Mike, we're totally out of time. I want to thank everyone for joining in. Tomorrow we're going to have Roland Alexander on the show, so we'll see you tomorrow at 5.